have a packet of flan pudding mix at home? Well, I'm gonna give you several alternatives so you can enjoy and make something a little different. The main ingredient of 3 super delicious recipes, I'll start with one that you're going to love. It's a delicious pudding that you can make in just 5 minutes. The first thing I do is pour 600 milliliters or 3 cups of milk into a saucepan. So in they all go. Here, I'm going to add a packet of flan or pudding mix, which is about 65 grams, and I mix it well so it dissolves. Once I have it, I take it straight to the stove. I'm gonna put it on medium or medium-high heat while it heats up. I take 1/3 of a bar of white chocolate, about 60 grams, and chop it into very small cubes. The smaller, the better, and then I take that freshly chopped chocolate straight to this mixture of flan pudding mix with milk. There it goes. It's going to give us that different touch of flavor and a bit of texture. Pure magic. The cream is already going. There's nothing else to do. Just serve it. Well soaked on the sides and just a little soaked on the bottom. It's that easy. If you soak them too much, the cookies that get really soaked will dry out at the bottom when you pour the liquid. Since I'll unmold and flip it, I just soak them briefly. And that way, when I pour the liquid, they'll rise to the top, floating a little. And as you can imagine, here we're going to put the cream directly. So let's take the saucepan, place a spoon or spatula so the stream doesn't hit the cookie and break it, and pour it in. The cookies at the bottom in my case float, so they'll end up on top as you can see here. You can arrange them a little at this point while the mixture is cooling down, because when it's not super hot anymore, then we can chill it. Definitely chill it. And for that, the best thing is to take it and put it in the fridge or refrigerator, where I recommend keeping it for at least 4 hours. Although it's the kind of dessert you can easily prepare from one day to the next. Alright then, that's good for us. Perfect, we're going to leave it here. But on the internet, time flies, so I already have it ready and I'm going to show you how it turns out. When we unmold it, it looks fantastic. Look, what a fantasy. A very simple dessert that we unmold thanks to this plastic wrap or cling film that I recommended you use. I loosen it a little, move it a bit, and then place the tray on top where I want to present the dessert. This black one, for example, we remove the mold, which could be any container, for example, and then we take off the plastic wrap. Adjust this in case it moved out of place. Adjust the cookie, for example, so it looks nice, and that's it. You're ready to enjoy. But if you want to give it an extra touch, just sprinkle a little ground cinnamon on top. It gives it aroma, a nice color, and a touch of flavor, so if you like cinnamon, take advantage of this moment. Look at that tembleque texture. It's truly amazing. An easy, quick pudding that we made in just 5 minutes. Now let it chill. And now the inside, which is always the best part. Look at how it looks. Don't tell me you don't want to take a bite. Look at that texture. Delicious, really delicious. I'm sure you want some, but don't go yet, because if you want to keep enjoying and making the most of it, the packets I've prepared for flan or pudding. Look at this dessert or sponge cake and flan. It's just amazing. It looks amazing. I start by putting 4 large eggs, size L, in a pot. I also add 6 level tablespoons of sugar, about 60 grams, and a splash of vanilla essence, extract, or flavoring. And now it's time to mix this. You already know I'm a huge fan of vanilla, but you could add cinnamon or a splash of liquor instead. It always turns out finger licking good, so I'm gonna go at it with these whisks that are covered in silicone. That way I don't scratch the pot, or you can mix it separately and pour it in. That works too. To this, I'll add half a liter of milk or 2.5 cups. I also do this, stirring until everything quickly blends into a uniform liquid. Once it's mixed, we go to the stove. We put it on medium or medium-high heat, and we're going to keep stirring and stirring until it turns into a cream. At first, it's hard for this to thicken, but as soon as the milk heats up, it thickens quickly. So pay close attention, and when you see that mark start to stay in the liquid, it will be creamy enough, and we take it off the heat. Here I have the typical cake mold, the 23CM1, and I'm coating it well with liquid caramel. This is optional, but I think it gives it a really good flavor and also helps to unmold it. Otherwise, you'd need to cover it with plastic wrap or cling film. I spread it well on the sides and everything with the caramel, and now let's move on to assembling it. We need sponge cakes. In this case, I'm using these long ones, but any kind that soaks up will work. And as you can see, I'm soaking them in the same creamy mixture we have. Then we cover with the cream in a thin layer, spread it out so it's smooth, and put another layer on. Ladyfingers, so that you always have a layer and pay attention to the detail. Of course, you have to cover the little holes with more ladyfingers, because with this shape, the mold is a bit smaller at the bottom than at the top. We keep covering and layering until we finish all the cream we had prepared. Then we let this cool down, but always with the last layer of ladyfingers placed facing up like this. I haven't soaked these because they're going to be the base of today's cake, so I want them to be a little less soaked. We place them one after another until the entire surface is covered. And as I was saying, we're going to let this cool down slowly so it loses temperature. And when it's more or less cool, we're gonna put it in the fridge or refrigerator where we'll keep it. At least 2 hours, but I recommend doing it for 4 or even overnight. It also turns out great. The thing is, once it's cold, you can take it out, unmold it, and most importantly, enjoy it to the fullest. Here, to unmold it, there's a little trick, which is simply to run a sharp knife along the edges. That way, it unmolds perfectly and doesn't stick. You place a tray on top wherever you want to present it, flip it over, and voila, here you'll have this marvel. And I don't know what will happen with the caramel on the plate, because the sponge cake absorbs it. What a delight! Decorate it by adding a touch of color and enjoy. Look, what a look with a very simple decoration. Just to give it a bit of contrast, it looks incredible. Now for the best part, seeing it from inside. Look at those sponge cake layers soaked in flan. Amazing. And don't tell me you don't feel like it. Look at the slice, look at the slice, look at the slice. It even makes me want to drool. Incredible, one of my favorite desserts, but I'm not going to leave here without showing you one. I was gonna say I pulled it out of my sleeve, but since I don't have sleeves, I'll just tell you. One of my favorite no-bake desserts. Just look how amazing it is. We start by making a simple but delicious cookie base. For that, we're going to crush about 30 Maria cookies, which is around 180 grams. You can use any cookie, but stay tuned for a trick to make the base compact yet soft. Simply crush the cookies well with a food processor like this, or you can smash them with a bottle inside a bag. The point is to get a cookie powder like the one you see here. Here you're gonna add butter, but heat it first so it's melted, about 50 grams. You add it, mix a little so it spreads, and you'll notice how the color of the cookie gets a bit darker. Once you've mixed in the butter, you add an ingredient that people don't usually use here, 2 tablespoons of milk. Yes, just like you heard. Once you mix in the butter, add milk. It turns out softer, but just enough so it holds together. And when you cut your base and serve a slice of cake, it won't fall apart and crumble. So, as you just saw, a splash or 2 tablespoons of milk are the magic key for a perfect cookie base. You just put it in your pan. In my case, it's 23 centimeters in diameter. Spread it out a little and press it down with the bottom of a glass, making sure it's packed, tight, and compact. That's how easy and quick it is for me to prepare the perfect cookie crust. Keep it in the fridge or refrigerator while you prepare the filling for this tart. You won't believe how easy it is to make. Simply put 1 liter of milk or 5 cups in a pot over medium or medium-high heat. Once you have the milk in, you'll add the magic ingredient. which is the packet of pudding or flan mix. Simply, the 2 packets that usually come in a box are about 130 grams, so both packets from the box go in. One and the other one I have here goes in too. You give it a few stirs so it mixes quickly without overthinking it. Keep it simple, because today we're going to enjoy a delicious dessert and it's also super easy to make. Once it's dissolved, add 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch or corn flour. I know it's not necessary, but do it. It will change the texture and make it more like that. A little creamier and really tasty. A very simple detail that improves the dessert, so I recommend it. Just like before, you simply stir it so it dissolves. And once it's dissolved too, you add whatever you want to give it flavor. In my case, dulce de leche, a bit to your personal taste. I recommend a minimum of 200 grams, but honestly, you can add as much as you like here. Remember, desserts are meant to be enjoyed, so make them how you like. Remember to stir it over and over for a little while, like this, over medium heat so it turns out nice and creamy, not just liquid, not just melted. Everything, just like when you usually make instant flan, we're not looking for it to get too thick, just a little bit of body, that way the texture improves. And trust me, you're gonna be really surprised in a good way. And as you can see, all you have to do is keep stirring it while it thickens up a bit. That happens when all the liquid starts to heat up, so just a little patience. And as soon as this starts to heat up, you see? A thick liquid starts to form. You need it to be a bit thick and for it to take a little effort to fall so that it's just right. Then you take the mold out of the fridge with that wonderful simple cookie cup we have and pour the cream inside. My advice, always put something in the middle. That way the stream of heat doesn't fall directly on the cookie, it lands a bit softer and there's less chance of breaking the cookie underneath. Release all the cream with the help of a spatula, let it cool down a bit, and once it's lukewarm, put it in the fridge or refrigerator to chill for at least 4 hours. Although, well, you know this is a typical dessert, and if you prepare it a day in advance, it's much better, come on. Here, I leave it chilling. Once the time has passed and you want to decorate, I recommend doing it my way. With chocolate. Take 3/5 of a bar, 120 grams, cut it into pieces, and heat it up. You don't know how? Let me explain my foolproof method. For a dense but smooth cream, put the chocolate in a saucepan. It's that easy, the one you just chopped. Once it's in, add cream, heavy, whipping, chantilly, or whatever you prefer. That white liquid, 100 milliliters or half a cup. All of this over medium heat, medium-high at most. Are you stirring it around? And when it heats up, it starts forming a smooth cream. When you don't see any lumps and it's turned into a smooth cream, give it shine and texture with a heaping tablespoon of butter, which is about 20 grams. And now with the heat from the mixture, the butter will blend in. It will melt and everything will turn into a liquid like the one you see here. Perfect for decorating, enjoying, and making everyone amazed by our cake or pastry. So I'm gonna do it. I take it out of the fridge or refrigerator. There it is. I bring it to the work table. I move the mold a little to make sure everything is perfect, and I remove the ring from the mold. There it is, perfect. And then I just set this aside and pour that fantastic cream we just made on top. Using the same method as before, always something on top so the stream falls more gently. It's that easy. Spread it toward the edges so you get a more or less even layer. After this, give yourself some applause. You deserve it, and bring it to the table so everyone can cheer for you. What an amazing cake or pie we made so quickly, with very little effort and with a result that's going to blow your mind. And you know that with desserts and people, the most important thing is what's inside. And the inside of this is truly amazing. Look, 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 it's a super cake. You can't miss it. Look at the slice. Look at the slice. Makes you want to dig in with a spoon, a fork, or just your hand, right? These desserts drive me crazy. Long live flan and fresh desserts, of course. I don't know if you liked the first version we made better, the one we have on screen now with this pudding style. The second one, which is the fresh flan and sponge cake. Or this latest marvel we made, so easy and without an oven. Let me know in the comments which was your favorite. And also you can click on the little box here and keep enjoying, because YouTube says it's going to be your next favorite video.